Moving on, I think there was a question from Annie.
Yes.
What part can the judiciary play in upholding civil liberties? Thank you very much. That is a very good and important question. First and foremost, I think the judiciary must strive to be impartial and independent. Without an impartial and independent judiciary, there are no freedoms that can be, and civil liberties that can be upheld. The Constitution, our Constitution, and I think the constitutions of those our sister and brother nations that have written constitutions are very clear on the manner of civil liberties. And for us, we've seen a level of judicial activism where the courts are able to pronounce themselves, they're able to give judgments, whether in favor or against the government, on matters to do with civil liberties. They've been very active in that respect. But really there is no hard and fast rule on this, other than to say the clear provisions of the Constitution which give the judiciary, and in fact the three arms of government, their various mandates need to be followed and respected, and the executive is trying by all means to do that. In the recent past, that provision had been used as a way in which political opponents could be brought to account, really, to the ruling party. Whether or not there was a proper case, the fact that there was that particular provision of law was used as an instrument, and a conscious decision was made to remove that instrument so that the executive arm of government could not be seen to have a way in which to keep people in check by using this provision of the law. So even our legal reforms, yes, have been targeted towards that. We have the next session is in June. Hopefully by then the bill will be ready for presentation on the floor of the House. But generally I would like to say that we have done as a government as much as possible to increase the media space through reducing the possibility of our journalists being harassed, which had started to become the order of the day. From a political perspective, we've made sure that everyone is aware that we will not allow a situation where the fourth estate, the media, is interfered with in the execution of their functions. And anyone that does so, whether from the ruling party or from the opposition or independents, or even just a member of society, they will answer to the law. And we've had a good number of people that have been arrested for trying to interfere with the media freedoms. By grabbing cameras and by doing things like that and interfering with radio shows. So we are working very, very diligently to deal with the freedom of the media. And first of all, maybe the starting point would be to mention that each particular nation has got its own cultural diversity, which largely informs the political the exercise of political rights by citizens. And that is something which we can certainly say at Zambia we're grappling with, because along the years in the recent past we had a situation where ethnicity and intolerance started to come in play with regard to the exercise by citizens of their, not only their political rights, but their economic rights as well. This, as you know, in any nation could lead to a situation of conflict between citizens and among citizens. What we have done as the New Dawn administration, and of course the President Hakainde Hichilema is leading the charge on this, is to bring a message of unity. So aside from legal reform, I think the first thing is that there must be political will, and the message of unity is very, very clear. Our Constitution also provides that the various institutions that are formed under it, and even in the exercise of the political power, there must be a reflection of the national character. We have in this country 10 provinces and several dialects, languages, and all these must be put in one pot and must be looked after. So there's a deliberate government policy to ensure that in any appointment, for example, of persons to serve in public office, there must be that balance amongst the various regions, and that is a key policy that has helped in reducing the tension and intolerance that was growing steadily in the country. In itself underscores the need for us to have this summit, because in English, the adage used is a problem shared is a problem solved. And this is exactly what we are doing. We're coming from the backdrop of the first summit, which was held in December 2021 in the US, and all of us nations that participated, even those that didn't, but in terms of those that participated, we came up with commitments. For Zambia, our 3 commitments were in relation to some of the matters we've discussed here already. I'll just paraphrase. We made a commitment towards enhanced media freedom. We made a commitment towards enhanced civil liberties, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and we made a commitment towards improving the electoral processes in our country. Those were our 3 commitments. And if you look at this current summit, many of the countries actually do share the common theme of improved electoral environment. And this will be one of the key focus areas for our discussion during the second day of the summit. Why is improved electoral environment very key? Because if you fail in the electoral processes, this is probably one of the key causes of strife and war and conflict within our countries, because we fail to have a process by which leadership is handed over from one set of leaders to another. And this again in itself, as you will see from the history of our country, has an ongoing effect to the people who ultimately end up suffering. So we are saying, as the participants in the summit and together with our co-hosts, that let's have a platform by which I learn from you. I'll learn from Anne-Marie, I'll learn from Harry, I'll learn from Mali, I'll learn from Rwanda, what works in their country. And maybe I can improve my own situation in terms of the management of election, in terms of democracy and the rule of law and governance issues. And for me, I think that answers the question as to why it's urgent and why we should have this sort of discussion despite our many problems. Nobody is saying that Zambia hasn't got problems. We've got many problems. We've got developmental issues. We still have hunger. We still have poverty. But if you don't have a system in which you put the correct people in office to govern the affairs of the country, then these problems that are below, the primary problems, will never be resolved.